It's not as if she were a maniac, a raving thing. She just goes a little mad sometimes.
And I say, insect a man, death should always be painless.
She just goes a little mad sometimes. We all go a little mad sometimes.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
I caught him, Sheriff. Wait, who is that? Billy Loomis. Sir.
Pardon me, I'm Loomis, Dr. Sam Loomis.
I think our friend Sam Loomis didn't know that Marion was here.
Oh, Sam, I hate having to be with you in a place like this.
Now just listen to me. When you go down the street to the Mackenzie's house, I want you to tell them to call the police.
Your car. Drive down to the Mackenzies.
We must be mad. Literally mad. Watch a few movies, take a few notes. It was fun.
Good evening, all. I hope you're fine tonight. What does this particular stream have in common with a postponed Tegan and Sarah concert? Late and gay. Folks, I did press the button. I pressed the button and it did not take us live. And I was left looking at the button, wondering what had gone on. It was a confusing time. But we've all survived. I think we've got through it. We've all learned something about ourselves, and I think we've all grown from the experience, yeah?
I haven't.
Oh. We'll try harder. Anyway, folks, I thank you for waiting around. Good to see you, chat. I will not delay you further, except to welcome this fantastic panel I've got tonight. TCG, as always, co-host of the stream. How you doing, sir?
I am very good. Very good. I'm a bit annoyed because I was supposed to have a video out today, but speaking of technical issues, the file was corrupted and I didn't realize it until I sort of watched it back on the upload, and I didn't save the project, so I've effectively got to do it all over again. So it's going to be like this weekend.
You
other than that,
the project.
Yeah. Well, I didn't save it because normally I'll save the project. So if I get any copyright issues, I'll just go back. But I just didn't do it. And yeah, so I've got to make it all over again. Audio recording and everything. Lovely.
Du arma. Oh, I'm sorry to hear it. We've all been there. We've all been there. I had a entirely legitimate copy of The Matrix that I used clips from that would always result in these weird jumpy glitches anytime I used it. Sucks. Ah, dear. But we're also joined by Mitch. How you doing, sir?
Ciao bella, come stai?
You're branching out, man. Usually we only bring you in for stuff from like pre-1960. You know,
you do know I much prefer the 70s and 80s.
Yeah. and you were keen on this. You were keen.
Say, yeah, I was. As you can tell, I've been brushing up the Italian.
Was it just the gore that brought you on board and made you hammer on the door and say, proper horror show, get me on this Argento stream?
The reputation, really. The fact that you were doing Giallo. I don't know how you pronounce Giallo. Is it Giallo?
Giallo.
Jail?
Yeah, Giallo as a very educated chap will possibly already be typing. Giallo is so named after the yellow paperbacks of these sort of slightly lurid tales that they were originally published in, similar to film noir being based on the black backs of the paperbacks the stories were published in, or indeed pulp fiction, named after the type of paper. How about that? What an education!
Reject modernity, embrace pulp.
There is a certain joy to it, isn't it? You know,
quel ragazzo del cremin.
You've lost me. You've lost me.
That's Google Translator in Italian, apparently, according to Google.
Profondo horror show.
I had to. People will Well, I think there's plenty of Argento fans here, so they will know. I had to go Profundo Horrorshow after Profundo Rosso, which I actually massively prefer to Suspiria, but I'm saving it. I'm saving it for later because I think we need to do a whole Dario Argento arc because this guy is. Oh, I am suddenly worried. Have I said it wrong? Argento or Argento?
I
know
don't know,
I was
actually.
told off
I should have
yesterday
asked.
for saying it wrong.
Thing is, though, when I work with people who speak Italian, and they didn't even correct me, so maybe it's both.
Okay, which were you going for?
I'm gonna go with Argento. That's all I know.
All right, we're going to go with Argento. Chat, correct us if we're massively wrong. Also, I'm seeing so many lovely people in the chat here. So many from us. All right, Mergoot, Fez, Chrominian, good to see you. Slim, good to see you. Ugg, nice to see you, man. You're turning out. You're regular now.
Get those Italian hands floating in the air.
Yeah, can we have Italian hand emojis? Also, of course, Maverick, who was the first to point out that we were late. Maverick was possibly so quick pointing out we were late that we were actually on time at the point at which he called us late and I assume flaming.
Indeed.
And also Mima, good see. Yes. So Mitch, you said it was basically the reputation of this film.
Yeah, I've been wanting to watch it for years and now I finally have.
Excellent. I've had that a lot doing this project. There have been so many big name films that I've had a vague familiarity with, but never actually sat down to watch. And it has been so good actually going in and filling those gaps as well as getting these really quite obscure ones. Let's see, Peeping Tom was one of them. I heard that ages ago and I never actually sat down and watched it.
Yes, same. Like I said on the stream all those months ago now, I'd heard about it as a teenager and then never bothered to watch it. You know what's weird though? There's actually I don't think it was intentional. It's probably just by accident. But there's actually there's like aesthetic similarities between the two in the lighting. If you think about it. With the red lights and the green lights, although Suspiria goes full on, almost to the point of expressionism.
I think it goes so much further, and that. Oh, hang on, we've got a verdict. Argento, thank you, Richie Simmons, much appreciated. Also, hi Brundlefly and Jeffrey Smith, good seeing you. I like seeing regular names. It's lovely.
Yeah, Jeffrey just says in the chat that he prefers the remake, and I haven't seen the remake myself, but the consensus from sort of like the reviews I've seen where both are compared is that the remake does seem to be the preferred option. But like I said to you guys behind the scenes, it's a very, very different film from what I understand. It's almost like the inverse of what the original was. In fact, one of the articles I saw talking about the remake was, look, if you want to go, if you think you'll like this film, the remake they're talking about, our advice, don't watch the original. And they don't mean that in a bad way. They're like, it's such a different film.
Yeah, it is a seriously different endeavor. I mean, we might touch on that later, but effectively, how can I say? Argento, sorry, no, we decided. Argento is going into sort of unconquered territory here. He's doing really new things. He is really pushing the boat out, trying things in a really expressionistic way.
Pushing his gondola out.
Yeah, definitely. He's going all the way out there. And I think in the course of that, there's a lot of stuff that isn't particularly explored. Whereas the remake really tries to make that world very concrete. And I've got to say, I enjoyed it. I mean, I liked both, but I was kind of stunned by the remake and just thought it was amazing. Almost sort of things that are throwaways in Suspiria, the remake really delves into. And just, this might sound a weird comment, but they really made a lot out of it being a dance school in the remake, and they showcased the dance, which I thought was just kind of cool.
I tell you one.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was to say just I have seen one scene of the movie, and it's the scene where the main character is like doing a dance, and one of the other people are getting all contorted and stuff. Oh, mate, that was mental. And the beauty of that is very little CGI. They had a contortionist do the things. Yeah. It was beautifully disturbing.
Yeah, they really made the most of the concept in it, whereas I think Dario Argento is taking a massive paintbrush and painting very boldly with it. So
I want lights, flashing lights, different colors. I think I went a little bit Gino D'Acampo there.
I'm going to ask your forgiveness, everyone watching this, because a lot of the time when we're talking about this, I'm just going to be saying, "Oh, it's so gorgeous! It looks so good, guys." And that's I'll try and go beyond that, but mostly I did just find this film visually stunning in a way that I am trying to bring up a comparison, and I think everything else is actually just
I just wish I could get my
basically
video to look that nice.
Yeah. Imagine. Of course, when we started this, I watched it on Prime, and it started for me with this introduction. And I had this as well with, I think, Peeping Tom, where what we were watching, or it might be Les Yeux sans visage, where we got this little introduction saying what we were watching was a restored version.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was, but it was kind of nice, and it was really just a totally different experience seeing this suddenly massive HD, whereas previously I'd watched it on basically your standard VHS, which is not even 480p. I know there are more technicalities in that chat. I forgive me. I'm speaking in broad brushes. I'm still trying to get my head around what the resolution on a VHS is. It's a confusing situation.
Oh, look at that at the bottom.
There's
bottom
no
paragraph
nudity in this film. Is it?
Not if you include the swimming pool.
That's not nude.
But they're not even nude there. One of them's wearing a t-shirt. But yeah, the last paragraph. Over the course of the decades, the primary film elements of Suspiria suffered partially substantial damage. The camera negative itself is no longer complete. Sections that were damaged were replaced with inserted protection/duplicate negative materials in order to keep the film at its full length. However, even on these materials, some frames were missing. That's mental. Like,
so
I love how
essentially a lost film.
Yeah, parts of it definitely. I quite like this because it kind of explains. Well, it doesn't kind of. It explains like what they've done to bring this film sort of to sort of 21st century quality. I appreciate that.
Yeah, there was a big thing back in the day. I mean, we're talking a few decades ago where Michael Winner paid for the restoration of The Third Man, and a similar thing where they had to really go back to the negative and do a load of filling in and restoring, and they made that film look absolutely stunning. And we have some information. Thank you. See, it does have that complexity in that with a change in format, but I will not delve down the rabbit hole of different format resolutions. I know I punish you guys enough when I end up talking about the BBFC. You know, eventually we are going to have to cover the Hays Code.
Oh, we're going to have to. Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Oh, I'm bearing you in mind. All right, good. Well,
shall we delve into some background into the film as well, like what it's based on and stuff? Because there's some interesting links.
Oh,
just before we do, I just want to entertain the chat very, very quickly. So before I realised this was on Prime, I obtained a legitimate copy myself, only to realise that it was actually the Italian dub of this movie. I was like, oh no, not again.
Yeah, oh bless. Well, chat, you are veterans of this. For anyone who didn't watch the previous 2 Giallo films we did, you will know that one of the most distinctive things about Giallo films is basically the cast came from all over, and they would frequently just read the script in their own language, and then everything was fixed in dub. So everything is dubbed, every single thing, and it just always looks slightly odd.
Although I think in this one, some people were dubbed, others weren't.
I thought so.
I think everyone was dubbed.
Yeah, I thought
or maybe
so
some
too.
have better dubs than others.
Yeah,
It's whether they can match it quite closely.
Yeah.
I certainly thought this was one of the best dubbed of the Giallos we've seen. It was far less jarring than, say, Black Belly of the Tarantula. Yeah. I also just got this screen cap just because I found it kind of interesting that smoking was highlighted as.
I know, yeah.
I mean,
something so normal back then.
I'm not saying it's the most healthy thing, but it's just sort of interesting to see that smoking has crept into it as something that you that pushes the certificate up. Because then you might wonder, is alcohol consumption going up next? Is if someone chows down on a massive 3 a.m. kebab, the most absolute heart clogging beauty, the worst you can get, right?
You mean the best?
The only thing you can take to cure 7 Carlings, basically. Do they start putting warnings for that now?
That's fatphobic.
I can see it now. Smoking, substance abuse, meat eating,
junk food. Oh, I have legitimately wondered if we will see that maybe in 50 years or so. That there will be a warning for meat eating.
I don't think, not in 50 years. Don't think so.
5.
5. Okay. Well, I wanted to just lead in quickly with a little bit about Dario Argento. And I'm going to just...
As a non-Sikh daughter.
Yeah, slightly awkward that. It would have been good if you didn't. Anyway, look at this happy chap.
That's him in later life.
So, chat, I'm just going to read you a little bit from Kim Newman's Nightmare Movies, one of our favourite reference books for this. All right, guys. Dom has won the chat already. That is the bar. Good luck. That is already my favourite chat that I've seen in a while. Okay. Richie Simmons, not a Carling appreciator. Fair play, man. Fair play. Okay. He opens with, so Dario Argento even is influential enough to get his own spot in Chapter 8 Auteurs. So you know that he's highly thought of here. And it opens with a quote. I like women, especially beautiful ones. If they have a good face and figure, I would much prefer to watch them being murdered than an ugly girl or a man. I certainly don't have to justify myself to anybody about this. I don't care what anyone thinks or reads into it. I've often had journalists walk out of interviews when I say what I feel about this subject. Pretty Chad. Pretty darn Chad. So Newman recounts that Argento started in the world of westerns. He co-wrote Once Upon a Time in the West a lot, amazingly enough. And he was working with Bernardo Bertolucci. I think so. I'm already reading that. I'm kind of wowed. Wow, bit of a Bertolucci appreciator. Yeah, I know. Love The Last Emperor. I'd say it's probably my favorite. Before he moves into the world of mysteries. And from writing sort of noir attempts, Argento expands out into what really does become Giallo. So he becomes he blends these worlds of private detective novels, really, really influenced by Agatha Christie, Arthur Conan Doyle. And he blends it with the influence of Mario Bava, who came before him. You probably know him best for Black Sunday. I do not believe we have touched him yet, but we will get onto him. I think Black Sunday was actually a contender for the 1960s arc. Anyway, so he combines these two interests, and you get the very bloody mysteries that he became known for. He starts off with Apologies, Italians. L'Uccello dalla piume di cristallo, The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, 1970. Then Cat O' Nine Tails, that's 71. Four Flies on Grey Velvet, also 71. And then a brief break before my favourite of his, Profondo Rosso, Deep Red. Oh. You notice again, guys, that rapid production cycle. 3 films in 2 years. Amazing.
And there's a new one out this year.
Yeah, I saw that. It's on Shudder. It's I mean, his later reputation, it's not been super kind to him, but you know, I'll give it a shot. Why not? Apparently he has never entirely abandoned his roots in Giallo, just as the term film noir derives from the black covers of the French reprints of American thrillers in the série noire. The roughly equivalent gialli are named after the yellow covers of a run of Italian paperbacks. Told you guys. So he started off mostly just these murder mysteries where the murderer really goes a lot farther and the kills take you into horror territory. And he adds a lot of psychopathic elements. He makes it more complex by sort of, how can we say, making a connection between the killer and the I guess amateur person drawn into investigating the mystery. That's what makes it more complex. The protagonist is in some way made guilty due to the connection to the killings. As an example of this, the clown masked slasher of Quattro Mosche has a photograph which drummer Michael Brandon believes will implicate him in the accidental death of a mystery man who has been tailing him. In Tenebrae, Antonio Franciosa is a writer of detective stories who has become involved in a series of psycho slayings when a victim is found with her throat cut and her screams gagged by pages torn from his latest novel. The climax of Quattro Mosche is especially hurtful. Brandon unmasks the killer as his wife, played by Mimsy Farmer. All right, I didn't really need to read that, guys. I was just really touched by the idea that there's someone called Mimsy Farmer.
Mimsy?
Makes me very happy. Like the executive producer of the BBC's Ground Force, Gay Search. For some reason, that stuck in my head. Anyway, so Newman notes the classic Giallo things that Argento was so interested in, putting you in the POV of the killer so that you're often just seeing these stylish black leather-clad gloves that are wielding the knife that dispatches the characters. This, of course, is one of the main things that we've seen taken up in all of the Giallos. And Newman is noting here that after Bird with a Crystal Plumage, we got so many films just immediately taking that off. Just fantastic stuff. So he mentions the one we covered last week, Black Belly of the Tarantula.
Oh, nice.
Good stuff. We're basically seeing a guy who kicked off a trend in the early 70s. Oh, I love it.
The Godfather.
And something that Newman notes is really interesting about Argento is
Argento.
I'm going to do this all night, aren't I? Argento is that he does give you the clues that you can use to solve the mystery. Also couples it with a kind of interesting visual humor that, I'll be honest, went past me a lot. So I missed this, but it sounds kind of cool. Let's see. Quoting Newman, Profundo Rosso also displays Argento's sly but rarely exercised sense of humour. A prowling camera provides surreally extreme close-ups of an assortment of clues scattered throughout the old dark house, which holds the answer to the mystery, and, after a typically sinuous tracking shot, comes to rest on the killer's lost marbles. I love that. If that is deliberate, I think that's absolutely fantastic. As for Suspiria itself, I think Newman is sort of enthusiastic, but possibly has a lot of the issues we might have. And I'll just round off this with Newman's take on this film. Oh, I should also mention this is one of the early sort of branches out into the supernatural that Argento makes. He was previously keeping it all tethered to reality. In Suspiria, he brings a weirdness in. So, Argento celebrates his liberation from the fetters of logical plotting, sorry, Harrion, with a feast of the unreal and the incredible. Suspiria is a loud film with dazzling colours achieved through the use of outmoded Technicolor stock and a deafening score from the Rockroot Goblin that hisses witch in stereo, long before Jessica Harper realises that the basement of the Freiburg Tanz Academy houses an incredibly ancient sorceress whose evil influence pervades the whole city. There's magic all around us, Harper concludes, her words borne out by the Mario Bava-esque lighting which turns a crumbling Art Deco academy into an annex of hell, and the way even the automatic doors at the airport seem to have a threatening life on their own. The script is a non-stop catalogue of poetic absurdities, played with gusto by the likes of Alida Valli and Joan Bennett. Characters are forever arguing pointlessly about rooms, rent, shoes, maggots, and Christian names.
Yeah, maggots. Jesus Christ.
It's a
That was
theme.
disturbing.
It's a theme. There's a maggot arc.
You know, I'd only just gotten over it after the last film that we watched. I was like, what the? Oh my God, no. It wasn't even the last film. It was the one before that, wasn't it? It was the zombie.
It was. Do you want to give Mitch just a quick catch up on why we are so
oh, dude, man,
touchy about maggots?
Yeah, dude, in the last film that we watched, there's one scene where they literally get fire hosed with like maggots for a good like 30 to 45 seconds. Oof. It is the grossest thing, man. It is horrible. Like even after all that's done, their telephone rings and he's like picking it up and all the maggots all over the telephone. He's having to like wipe them off. It's all in his hair and he's like, get off. It's on the receipt. Like, mate, dude. And then I saw this, and when I thought it was water at first because I was watching it off my phone, and when like they put like when she pulled the maggot off the head, I was like, oh my God, no, not again. No. Oh no.
Not the maggots.
No.
You went full Nicolas Cage mode. No, not the maggots.
I was.
They're
not
in
the
bees. They're in my
eye.
Yeah, that was special. Brundlefly called it. I had completely forgotten the scene, but when we got it, I thought, oh my gosh, it's City of the Living Dead all over again.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes, we were traumatized. My favorite bit about that scene is just the actors stop acting and then they look so angry and annoyed that they've been hosed with maggots for like 2 minutes straight, and they're just heads down, pulling it out of their eyes, pulling it out of their hair, just looking. I have not been paid enough for this.
The producer told me this would only last for 10 seconds.
My agent told us we'd get free grub. What happened?
Oh,
I said you'll get grubs.
Save the puns for the quiz tomorrow.
All right. We have gone a little into it. But Mitch, you said you had some stuff you wanted to talk about for sort of the background to this. So I'll go back to the title screen, and if you want to
now, let me just
lead on.
Let me just quickly get Suspiria.
Also, guys, full spoilers for Suspiria. If you're watching on the replay, we are going to fully spoil this movie. So if you're new to this, I know there are a lot of new people. We're going to spoil the entire movie. We'll talk for about 2 hours about it, okay? That's generally how we do. All right, rock on.
So, Suspiria is actually partially based on a series of essays by Thomas de Quincey, which is called Suspiria de Profundis, which is Latin, not Italian. Now, Thomas de Quincey is an English writer. He was born in 1785 and died in 1859, and he's best known for writing a book called Confessions of an English Opium Eater, which is probably the first ever book about addiction that can be considered addiction literature. Mr. De Quincey just so happened to be born in Manchester, of all places, on 86 Cross Street, which I don't live far away from. And that is now a fish and chip shop, I think, or something like that.
Doxed.
And I don't live there. And he lived in a place called Charlton on Medlock, not to be confused with Charlton cum Hardy. And he died in Edinburgh. That's the connection between Suspiria and Manchester. There you go.
Absolutely
Boom.
Unexpected.
Blew your mind.
Very much so. Very much so indeed. Goodness me.
Suspiria de Profundis. I think, to be fair, I think Mergu might have. I think it was him who mentioned it in the chat that he read a bit of it, and there is some links to it. I've never read it, so I have no idea what parts of it are in the film. But it's all split up into different sections. So you've got the dreaming, which is the introduction, the palimpsest of the human brain, a meditation upon the deeper layers of human consciousness and memory.
Ooh.
Lavana and Our Ladies of Sorrow, which is about the Roman goddess of childbirth and some other stuff.
Whoa. Lady of Sorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, that
Lavana,
might be an actual Argento connection.
Really?
Yeah, so Argento, so I've been quoting the Kim Newman book. Now that ends in the edition I have ends in 1989. And at that point, Argento has done 2 of his 3 Mothers trilogy. So Suspiria and Inferno. And Newman kind of laments that he hasn't completed it. And he wouldn't until 2007 with, I think, Mother of Tears, which is, you might say almost Mother of Sorrows.
Funnily enough, according to the Wikipedia article, that one is a direct influence on the film and the entire trilogy, because it's a part of a trilogy, isn't it, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Mother of Tears. There it is, 2007.
Mm-hmm. So even Inferno is one.
We have been accused of reaching. It's fair enough. It's fair enough. We like a reach on here, Ugg. You know, you weren't around when we did the gay readings. But if you stick around,
I
it's
thought
probably
at
going to
first
turn
there'd be there's a character in the film who I thought was going to be the weird alpha lesbian character, but no, she's just a bully.
Yeah,
I think you know who I mean.
Tanner. Yeah,
I'm thinking of a younger character that disappears.
Oh, the one. Yes, the one who thinks if your name begins with S, you're a snake. That one.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a weird line. That was a very weird line.
There's loads of weird lines in this movie, though.
Yeah. TCG, did you also notice the thing that we picked up on, that we do get characters who basically disappear quite quickly?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Police. Again, the police officers at the beginning.
Oh, God, I completely forgot we got... Okay. I mean, the remake definitely does something far more interesting with the police officers. I'll say that. I've just completely forgotten about them as a plot thread. Like the fact that she has to move in with someone and then move out, and then nothing really comes of that.
It's a bit of a thing with Giallo films, isn't it? I mean, they definitely don't like the police, because in the last film that we watched, I'm sorry, man, that black police officer, man, he got done dirty in that.
They ripped him off. They cast someone amazing and then they didn't use him.
Exactly. But then we can't have logic in these films, can we? You know, if we're going down the supernatural route, we can't afford to have logic and a thorough investigation. Just pretend that they're doing something and then just forget about them. Yeah.
It's well, I wouldn't be that harsh. Harrion would absolutely. He would be tearing this film apart. He'd just be getting the chainsaw going and going to town.
I don't get it. It's crap. What's
Did
going
you-
on?
Did you know as well? One of the actresses, I think her name was Joan Bennett. She played Madame Blanc. She's another character who only appears in it for like 2 seconds. It's the same scene that the police officers are there. That was her last ever film that she ever made, which was Suspiria was the last ever film that she featured in.
No, I did not. Yes. Goodness me. Well, what I try and throw out here, I am not going to say that there is an easily understandable plot.
Nope.
I don't think it's massive. There are interesting, clever plot elements that I kind of like, even though they might not make a massive amount of sense. But the film is actually just like overflowing with emotion and ideas and mood that makes it a quite powerful experience. But I am going to dock it burgers.
Man, I feel like I'm turning into Harrion.
Don't turn into Harrion.
I needed a plot, and I did
right.
not get a plot.
Tell you what, let's do let's do the pint of Guinness challenge, all right? And I'll open it up to both of you. In the time it would take to have a pint of Guinness poured for you at a bar, how would you describe Suspiria to someone?
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah, you do it, mate, because I cannot.
America. Okay,
no
all right, here we go.
This, but it's good. It's a good test.
All right, I'll do it. So, Yank girl goes to Germany to become a ballerina and goes to a school called the Tam Academy, whatever it's called. And then as she gets there, she sees a strange girl run away. And then stuff happens from there on. And she doesn't know what's going on. Everything is crazy and absurd. And she keeps falling asleep at night at a weird time. What is this mystery? Will she solve it? Who knows? How's that?
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's solid. I mean, they at this rate, they haven't even done the pause so that the sort of head can rise a bit. You know how they'll pour most of it and then they'll go away for a bit and they'll come back and top your Guinness up, you know? I order a fair amount of Guinness, guys, I'm not going to lie.
You got a problem.
Well, I think the timing lets you judge when, you know, that. Anyway, I think I should probably get a video of Guinness being poured up for this. What do you reckon? It'll make it that much easier.
That'd be pretty cool.
All right. Next week, guys, I'll have it. I think that's fair enough. We get a strong mystery at the start. You know, who's this girl who's gone missing? What was she saying that our protagonist thought she heard? Something about secret and iris? You know, we've got these strong mystery elements. But we're also getting, I feel like, teased that it's going to be a standard Giallo. Do you think that's fair to say, TCG? Like,
yeah.
The thing that I felt was like teasing was we got the same shots. I will get one up. Apologies, guys. Susan might not like this one, but we got this shot, and I thought that's your classic Giallo shot. You've got the focus on the murder. You've got a lot of gore. You're only seeing the killer's hand. But you're also noticing you're getting like a sort of obviously male hand there, right?
Yeah.
And then we're introduced at the academy to a couple of like likely customers. You know, the kind of people that you are just immediately going to suspect if it was a regular Giallo. I thought particularly of this guy, your blind boy.
Yeah, I thought at first he did it.
Yeah, I was going to say
just because I got it right last time.
TCG, I thought you would just be straight in there as like, yep, it's a blind guy again.
Yep, he's faking it.
and I think I think it's Flavio Bucci, and I'm just going to check. So I only just thought to do it now. Is it the same guy who was? No, it's not. Okay, I was going to check if it's the same blind guy in Black Belly of the Tarantula, but no.
No.
That would have been cool.
Right, you've got this picture up right now. If you look on the left-hand side, you can see that little kid.
Yes,
with
Albert.
magazine. Did anybody get Village of the Damned vibes with that kid?
A little bit.
Oh, mate. Big time.
This is one of the things that makes it difficult to talk about Suspiria. I feel there is actually something going on here that I could not get my head around. So many elements seem really deliberate and very obviously symbolic, and Albert is one of them. I just couldn't work out what he was there for, what he was meant to represent, but I felt he'd been put there very, very deliberately.
Yeah. The corruption of innocence, maybe?
I think it's just a creepy child.
Yeah.
It's possible. It's possible. I tried out just like a few basic readings you might do around the time, and there's some interesting stuff, but not necessarily coherent. I'll cover it when we get there later. But yeah, this essentially at the start kind of felt to me like it could be going down the normal Giallo route, except that it started really outlandishly. Like, as Newman noticed, your character arrives in the airport and basically everything's kicking off and being threatening. Like there's this almost world-ending storm going on. And you get the sense like this massive force is at play here, you know?
Yeah. I did actually quite like the visuals of that opening scene, because obviously you've got, is it Susie, her name is, she's just like wearing some like plain normal clothes, and like everyone around her is like all wearing red, and you know, the way that it's shot gives you that impression that, you know, she's definitely someone who's out of place from the rest of the everyone else around there. Even with the lighting, a lot of red in this film, a lot of blues, a lot of reds. And yeah, she just looked very, very plain.
Yeah, that I saw like a constant clash between amazingly, unbelievably strong reds and blues, and I was trying to work out, and I had an interpretation like it's, I mean, I won't spoil it because it's such a different movie, but there's definitely a strong idea around those colors in the remake. And they do something very, very different with it. But I won't spoil that because we're not talking about that movie. But it was just used differently. Whereas here, I guess it just kind of makes it seem a bit more dreamlike. Like there's something
psychedelic
natural going on. Yeah. I mean, it feels like we're in a natural...
film, you know?
Oh, sorry, Mitch. I talked over you.
I think because of silent film, like there's something very. I remember. I won't get ahead of myself, but there's a scene where the camera angles are very German expressionistic from the 1920s, like with the green light and stuff like that. And I think that's what he's trying to do. I think he's almost trying to recreate all the tinting that would go on in those films. Only he's using it with lighting because he can use it. He has color film now.
Yeah.
I thought it was a bit Kubrick-like. A lot.
Oh my gosh!
It's before Shining, though. 3 years before, so maybe Kubrick saw this film and thought,
when was Clockwork Orange? When was Clockwork Orange?
Clockwork Orange was way before this.
70. I want to say 70. Yeah. Do you say 78?
No,
it might be 74. I want to say
74. I think Clockwork.
1970. I will trust you.
Oh, bloody hell.
I was actually reminded a lot more of Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut was the 90s, is his last film. 99.
Oh, yeah, I know. But it's the vibe of them. Like that feeling of you're in an otherworldly sort of dreamy space.
Yeah.
Just the vibe of the films.
I don't think Clockwork Orange is like that, though. It's even though it's surreal, it's still kind of grounded.
Oh, sorry.
if you know what I
Sorry,
mean.
Mitch, we're mentioning loads of movies at once. Sorry. So for clarity, what I was trying to say is the vibe of Suspiria, I was really reminded of Eyes Wide Shut, just because of the dreamlike quality. But yeah, Clockwork Orange, very, very different.
But a similar color palette, I will say.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I got the feeling that we were with these kind of shots here. We are being told that we are in a weird kind of almost fantasy realm. Just like there's a kind of absurdity. I'm trying to think who would point it out. My brain's coming blank. So let's pretend I'm being original here. I mean,
Yes, you'd be very
I just
original.
can't remember who I'm stealing from. You know what? It's a bit like Inception, where you are just you take a moment to just go over what you've been shown and not let it flow together, but to actually sort of interrogate the different elements. And so in this, she's in an airport in a fully developed, Germany, or East Germany, I believe.
West.
Or was she?
West,
was she
West
West?
Germany. She was in Munich.
Oh, sorry.
She was in Freiburg.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
One of the scenes take place in Munich.
All right. So okay.
Yeah. Where the blind man, where the blind man gets got.
Of course,
Probably filmed there, but in the opening thing it says she goes to Freiburg.
Yeah, like the Nazis literally burned books like outside those buildings.
Well, that
Apparently
location
it's in West Berlin. Oh, that's where it said Freiburg.
Oh, maybe.
Okay.
Wikipedia, you're lying.
No. Oh, I'll just say, hey, Devon.
Oh no, that's 2018.
Devontae, good to
Ignore
see you,
me.
man.
Ignore me.
Always lovely seeing you, man. And new faces tonight. Good to see you.
Hello.
All right, so what I'm trying to say here is basically she comes into a developed airport, right, in Munich. And then she's just going...
Freiburg, not Munich. I checked the Wikipedia.
Sorry.
Not Munich. Nowhere near Munich.
All right. Freiburg. She's in a developed area. And then suddenly she's in the woods. And then suddenly she's at this building. And it just feels a bit disconnected from reality. Like the fact that you go through the woods already feels a bit fairy tale like. And then you're seeing this thing that looks almost like a palace here. I mean, it's designed after a real building, of course, but it's a replica of the outside of that. And it's there, I think, to say you're in a kind of unreality, What do you guys think?
Not reality. Not reality. I like the look of the building because it's symbolic. I know it's very obvious, like film student things to say, but you do get the impression when you look back at it with the rain and everything that, there is something not quite right about this place. There's something violent going on. I mean, it's right at you, like it's red, it's bright, right at you, and also there's Latin inscription like on the right hand side. I could never quite figure out what it was. It mentions Erasmus, but they don't mention the philosopher, so. I assume there's something occult like with that inscription that if you knew Latin, that would add another layer.
Possibly. I mean, I was reminded to an extent of like Hansel and Gretel, like go through the woods to the witch's house.
It is a little bit.
Yeah. We also get the clue very early on that actually no, it's not a standard Giallo because you get this early killing of the girl that we see running away through the woods.
See, I thought it was a dream.
It could easily be a dream sequence. And it's quite notable that you sort of take a while before you realise, okay, no, that's reality. That actually happened. It's quite stunning, though. Again, that arm is really creepy.
And they never really show who killed her. Sorry, like they don't explain it. But I think it's the big ugly guy, right?
I think that's what we were set up to believe. I mean, he appears to be a number, and he's in the coven. But the witch, they're very powerful. They do not need to be physically present, which may cause some story issues, depending how much you want to think about it. But I imagine we're not encouraged to overly inspect that, but I think dream sequence is a good thing to bear in mind with this film. The level of gore is also extremely impressive here. I'll get that screenshot up again just because I think it's absolutely beautiful. And it's probably about the only one from this kill that I can show. Newman makes a point that Argento uses kills almost like song set pieces in a musical. And with this kill, I can really understand it. I mean,
It's almost like choreography.
Did anyone feel like this was quite prolonged as well?
Yeah, it was quite prolonged. A little bit to the point where you kind of it's stretching reality a bit too much. Like there's only so much I can believe.
Well, I love the stabbing effects. It almost felt, for me, it almost felt too real. You know, with just the in and out motion. I thought when he poked the heart. Okay, I thought, yeah, you're pushing it a little bit now. Also, what I found funny was after she got pulled out of the window. Where was she? I thought.
I know, yeah.
You are not alone. We got really confused over that before realizing she's taken up to the roof. But that was really confusing.
Yeah, it threw me off a little bit there.
Well, she got thrown off as well, so don't feel bad about it.
Oh, mate, I tell you what, that death scene though, the actual bit where she comes through the ceiling glass, that stainless glass. Oh, and then like the wiring as it sort of like slipped through her and then tightened up and brilliant. And even the effects for the other woman who was like impaled by all of the shards of glass and like the bits of metal, I thought was pretty impressive. Apparently that's inspired a lot of other films since, and my mind, and it's an obligatory Scream reference. My mind went to the first Scream with Drew Barrymore and the way that she was sort of hanging from the tree, like the blood effects and all that stuff. And so I have to ask you, because you should know, Horrorshow, did this film influence the way that Drew Barrymore was killed?
I don't think so.
Because there were some parallels, like the prolonged, like the stabbings. It felt quite prolonged at that bit. The way that she was found, or the way that her body was left. I
wouldn't say I see it myself. I could be wrong. But I felt that the point of that killing was to just go a bit further than you expect and to risk taking the fun away.
Right.
Like almost. So my interpretation of that opening of Scream is almost like you've seen a decade of kind of disposable slasher sequels where it's very silly and you don't take it seriously, just enjoy the couple of thoughts getting beaten to death in their sleeping bags.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And who doesn't enjoy that,
Oh, we all love a bit of that.
Yeah. And then I felt that Drew Barrymore's scene at the start of Scream was basically to put the stakes back on the table and say, I'm going to make you care about this. Oh my goodness. 70 Sue, absolutely. Drew is in the first Scream. She's amazing in it. She's unforgettable in it. Sue, this is your homework. This is your special assignment. Watch Scream. We reference it constantly on here, so you should definitely watch it. So that's why I got about it. Not necessarily referencing this film, although it's obviously referencing Halloween so much, which is hugely borrowing from Giallo. So yeah. I'm babbling a bit here. Basically, the point was to suddenly give it the opening real stakes, But if I'm wrong, that'll be awesome, and I would just love Scream a little bit more. shall we move into our main girl? And no, I haven't learned the names. I never learn the names, guys.
Susan?
You know this by now. Very possibly.
It's Susan, yeah.
Yeah. Let's so I showed you the initial one where she comes in, and I really felt we were just being baited with the blind guy as our main suspect.
I didn't think we were baited, to be honest.
Oh, this might okay, so that comment might not make any sense. The film we looked at last week was Black Belly of the Tarantula. And sorry guys, spoilers. Even though everyone got it from the first scene, the blind guy was the killer. I don't know if we can spoil that because literally every single one of us thought it was him.
Yeah.
From like immediately, it's like, that's a guy. I don't care how nice his dog is. It was him. So I kind of thought this guy, who looks massively, massively like the guy in Black Belly of the Tarantula, which is very closely inspired from Argento's first Giallo film. I thought this possibly was a little homage to that.
Maybe. I don't know, though.
I could be overreaching on this.
I think you might be a little bit.
It does happen occasionally, but let's veer away from that and just notice that your brain on this, you just get haunted, don't you? Like thinking like, what's behind this red door? Or sorry, what's in the red hallway? It's just, the colors are so mesmerizing. It just enlivens it so much. I absolutely love it. And yeah, as you said, we've got Albert there. And where is she? So I have to go hunting for my screen caps here. Would one of you like to describe the setup here? Just who we're seeing.
So in the middle, think Matilda, the headmaster, but smaller and with a constant psychopathic stare everywhere, with eyes wide open. I don't think she blinks once through the entire film. And on the right, we have the headmistress. Pretends to be nice. That teacher that pretends to be nice, but is actually quite horrible. And over here is the beautiful main character with those lovely brown eyes that you could just get lost into. Anyway, moving on.
And little Albert.
And up there is the thought that disappears like a quarter of the way through the film.
Yeah.
Who I thought was a lesbian alpha. Because there's some Giallo films where they have that stuff, you know.
Oh, definitely. There's lots of these like ridiculously confident. I mean, if it were today, you might call them a girl boss, but
mommy.
Oh, they're kind of like the Cordelia from Buffy character, you know, but even more forthright. Yeah, you have quite a few of them with like powerful Italian energy.
Yeah.
Where's the gabagool? There's a really interesting dynamic between Madame Blanc, who is on the right, and Frau Tanner. My brain was just stuck on the fact that they have a kind of interesting relationship where Tanner is like quite tense towards Blanc, and Tanner is just like this really overbearing Germanic woman.
She stamps everywhere. There's not a scene where she's not stamping somewhere.
Yeah. There's like this weird commandant energy to her where she's just... I felt some stereotypes were being invoked a bit, like they were playing with that a bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Just a bit. And I was wondering, like, is there more to that? Or is it just this character? I don't know. Like, you have the fact that she gets this... They have a Romanian servant who looks like... what's his name? Mr. Melania in Perfect Blue. You were going to say he looks like V.
Yeah, why not? They all look like
My name is V. What are you doing? That's insulting me. How dare you?
Scarily good.
I've had many years to perfect it. I just can't roll the R's like he can.
Yeah. We love you, V. We'd like you on. We'd like
That's
you
not
on,
what the
mate.
Romanian looks like. What? I'm
Name
not
the
a
film,
genius.
V. Name the film. You can come on. Yeah, it's a weird thing where she's just like openly cruel to him. Says, he doesn't understand anything. And it gets interesting when you get to the end of the film and you find out actually they're all kind of in cahoots in the coven. But it's a weird thing at the start to throw in there. And she gets in. You find out she's got some dancing heritage. That's kind of interesting. But things start going weird very quickly in the school. Very, very quickly. There is that odd plot line we mentioned earlier where she's moved out and then moved back in almost immediately. You complained about that, yeah.
Yeah, it's just in out. Like
it's
the Coke, innit?
It's a kind of thing you probably could cut from the film. 'Cause, I mean, it's not a long film, but that bit is kind of an odd element that doesn't really go anywhere. But yes, she has to move back in because she's dancing and she's feeling faint. You seem to see a member of staff basically cast a bit of a spell on her. That's how I interpreted that.
Is that with the light?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's after that she starts acting all dodgy.
Yeah. Yeah, she faints in in like basically her first dance class, and Frau Tanner here is giving her all the alle die Befehlen zum Tanzen. She's quite I order you to dance. She's quite merciless. It's very, very stereotypical, basically. And after that, she's moved back into the academy, and then we get our storm of maggots. Like it gets very weird very quick. Do you think it would be fair to say?
You're left wondering what the hell is going on. What these maggots is who's killing all these people? What? You're just scratching your head, but you're still engaged, and and the visuals. I think it's the visuals primarily that keep you going. Because if it wasn't so visually striking, I think it wouldn't be anywhere near as effective. Because you just don't know what's going on for most of the film.
You're talking about visually striking.
Oh no!
Is this the kind of thing that makes you think of The Shining?
Not that necessarily. It was actually the geometric patterns on some of the stained glass windows, the pool scene. I mean, this is fairly Kubrickian, but it's not as. Oh no! It's a little bit. It's when it's not as striking as this. It's when you see more patterns and stuff. That's when it goes a bit Kubrick.
Okay. I just think of like that sense of extreme precision and almost coldness in the shot, which is weird because it's so warm and red, but at the same time it's kind of oppressively structured.
It's very it makes you feel claustrophobic, like you're stuck there with her.
Massively. Now, as you say, you are left wondering in this bit basically what the heck is happening? And it's around here that we get a pivot to something that is a greater mystery. But just at this point, I'd love to ask, TCG, how are you feeling around this point where we've just had the reign of maggots?
Besides grossed out?
Yeah, apart from that.
A little bit confused.
I think it's fair enough.
Yeah, the film started to lose me a little bit around this point, just because of the fact that besides the maggots, there wasn't really much in terms of plot development. Things was just sort of happening, and there was no real explanation as to why. Now, after I went away and watched the film and had time to think about it and sort of get a bit of an understanding based on sort of what other people had said when they reviewed the film. I can kind of understand the lack of plot in that sense, because I now understand it was more of a visual film. But I just think, but you know what I'm like from previous films. I'm not as intense as Harry, and when it comes to desiring a plot, but I kind of do need to sort of have some sort of plot development, to a degree. I need to sort of vaguely understand what's going on, and the visuals alone for me weren't providing me with the information that I needed to understand what was happening. But then I kind of think that may have been the point, because when I sort of thought about it more, if you are Susie in this film, the main character, this American coming into a foreign dance club and all this weird stuff's happening, one of the things that you're going to feel is confusion and not quite understand, sort of like what the wider picture is. It's almost like you've put yourself, the directors put you in sort of like a POV of the main character. And at the time I was like, yeah, I've got no bloody clue what's going on. I'm kind of switching off. But I kind of regretted that after a little while, because I was like, oh, you know what? If that's what he was trying to do, then that's pretty clever.
Yeah, you do feel it's a gamble, like the sense of confusion that you can engage to help you connect to the character is fine. But if I'm genuinely confused, I tend to find myself withdrawing from the film as well.
Yeah, I kind of had that.
It was gorgeous, but I would say I wouldn't object to anyone who said the film loses its momentum quite a lot. And it's kind of easy to think, okay, what is the sort of plot thread that means that my narrative is focused on this person in this place?
Yeah.
And nominally it's, we want to find out why this girl went missing on the night that Susie arrived. Why that happened, what's going on. And it's quite easy to forget about that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I forgot about the girl at the beginning. When she was like, "Oh, I'm leaving forever. You wouldn't understand if I told you." I kind of forgot about that, and it's a shame, because the first sort of 10 minutes that whole entire death scene really sort of like caught my attention, because I was like, "That's really impressive what they've done there," and I now know that it's quite an iconic scene in and of itself, and I can totally see why. But it's just like it relies, for me, I felt like it was relying on these like iconic, these big parts at certain points of the film to sort of carry I probably want to say just filler.
There is a lot of that, basically, that a lot of characters who are there talking that don't really amount to much. It's kind of noticeable at the end that basically all the other women are kind of just shipped out, and you're told, yeah, don't worry about them.
Yeah.
They're off at the theatre, don't worry about it.
Yeah, there's a lot that's not explained in this film. Like, I think, and I'm sure we'll get to it, but there's a bit later on where Susie, is it Sarah, her friend, is like, oh, my friend left notes, and like you never know what you never know what the notes say, because the next bit she's like, the next bit is when she's trying to wake up Susie after she's all out of it, and she's like, oh, my notes have been taken, but nothing comes of that.
I might be able to help with that. I might be able to help, because that was a bit I like. Now, I might misunderstand, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, interestingly, Sarah they have a conversation when they hear walking around at night.
Yes.
I should point out that it's this scene right here. You have the element of Sarah's excited because the director is that silhouette behind the sheet. So you suddenly get the mystery of, wait, well, hang on, who's the director? We've never seen her before. That's interesting. And so they're listening to this walking around at night, and you get a twist on the thing of like, well, the teachers don't stay overnight, they go. And Susie works out that if they were going, their footsteps would go in the other direction.
Yeah, they're going left, but they're going right, or vice versa. Yeah.
So I thought, okay, that's interesting. That's good. It's kind of awkward that I don't think they could really convey that via the sound. So they just had to tell you, but it's still a good idea. And then Sarah takes notes, and I like the idea, but I don't think it makes sense. Maybe I'm wrong. She just starts counting the steps and tries to work out from there the direction that people are taking.
You could make sense from that. Yeah,
I think it could work.
Yeah, that could work. It's
I've
just
seen
annoying
a load
that
of people just saying that they actually managed to pop in live. So I will say, Jesse, good to see you, man. I'm glad you made it. I always say, people, if they can make it live, drop in, say hi. I appreciate it. Good. We are deep in Suspiria, man. So I hope you don't mind Suspiria spoilers. If you don't, stick around.
Girl. Sorry.
Oh no! There was a
Suspiria, mine.
I was actually going to do a thing with this because it's like one of the opening scenes. Madame Blanc says she drops in the line "Among Us." I was going to click. I'm going to have to do that. All right, I've got to remember. We'll do that. Sorry.
Is she the
CCG? You're saying, man. We're talking about making the map based on overhearing the teacher's steps and working out where they go at night. You were saying, yes, it's possible. I think.
Yeah, no, that could make sense, I suppose. But yeah, man, I was just like, nothing happened, so nothing happened off the back of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a bit like it would have been quite cool if we got to see them at least document it, or got to see what was on the notes before they were stolen or before they were taken. Just to sort of getting a bit of an understanding as to how close they were to uncovering the truth.
Yeah. She has to leave the notes for our protagonist to discover, so that's cool. But I kind of like that the backup character was super competent and worked it out. Even if she gets offed a bit meanly, but she gives us a little bit of detail. I think there's a bit of a question of why the director would want to sleep in the hall with them. But it is also, it's just hard to be mad when it looks this good.
Yeah, I mean, again, visually it looks amazing, but the dialogue is just so off tone. Like, why is she acting all horny and excited about it?
I don't think she's horny, is she?
No, but it's just the way she sounds. She's all like, "Oh my god."
I think she's just being a gossipy young girl, you know.
Yeah, but again,
well, there's a weird thing that they raise a sexual tension because she's flirting with the guy Mark.
Yeah. Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Yeah, nothing comes of that.
No.
Hello, Giallo. Nothing happens.
Yeah, they raise it. There's something kind of interesting that they raise the kind of sexual possibility with Mark. And then there's this idea of like the ultimate fear is this sort of undistinct thing underneath the sheets and behind the sheets. There's something there about sort of a fear of a transition into adulthood, but not enough that I could really put it into a coherent idea. It's just sort of that's sort of in the aura of this film, I guess, a sort of vague sexual menace.
Yeah. But again, I just didn't see why. I mean, I get like, oh, you know, I can get this person being like, you know, I'm pretty sure that's the directorette or directoress or whatever they called her in the movie, and like explain, you know, I heard a story. That makes sense. That's fine. I get that. It's just the way that she conveys it. I'm just like, it sounds creepy. Stop it. Talk normally.
Chat. What did you think at this point in the film? Were you hooked, chat? Were you sort of drifting a bit? I want to know how other people are feeling. I'm gonna watch you guys while we cover a little extra. Because we have another sequence that you could almost say they just wanted a kill. Oh dear. I've got a great screen cap for this. I'm so happy with this one. I wasn't aiming to get this, but when I got it, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to go for another one. This is my screen cap.
Oh, yeah.
Oh dear. Yeah. So your man's dog flips out and bites Albert. The little sort of cute little kitten that we see, who is very blonde haired, blue eyed,
And
etc.
psycho.
Yeah. None of us know what's going on with Albert. Anyway, she flips out, kicks your man out in a really weird display. It's very over the top.
I'm not deaf, you know.
Oh, it was great. I kind of liked the moment of relief, actually, in the film.
It's very typical dog owner. My dog would never do that. My dog is peaceful. He's never harmed a fly, as it kills your rabbit.
Yeah. Well, your rabbit must have done something to antagonise it.
It's not my fault.
He literally says that about the kid. It's like, well,
I
what
know,
did the kid do?
Yeah. We just looked at him, right?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the dog was in the right there. They were being weird.
Yeah, I think this would be the kind of thing that you point to as Dario Argento having a really, really dark sense of humor that's kind of fun. Like, he is playing the comedy for this, and then exactly as you say, the whole "my dog wouldn't do this," and from that you sense that is the motivation for the witches to make the dog attack him.
Yeah.
But what did Daniel do to deserve it? Was it just because the dog bit Albert randomly, and that's why he had to go?
It's a theme in both this and the remake. Is like the Coven of Witches is very good at protecting itself.
Here we go.
He wasn't really a threat. He didn't know anything. Doesn't mention that he knows anything. He just
it's
bit Albert.
It's just that the dog attacked Albert, so they were like, "No, you didn't control your dog. You've attacked us. Therefore, we're going to take revenge on you and your dog." It's
a little bit overkill, you know. You could just sack him, and he wasn't good. He's not going to tell anyone there's witches around, is he?
It's very no. It's completely disproportionate. I do just want to go for this. 72, we have not done Rocky Horror yet. There's only so much inversion that I can expose.
So much gay we can handle.
I'm trying to build up their tolerance, but believe me, I've had some issues. However, a treat for you. If you look on my channel, on the channel profile, the video that plays automatically, I think, is called Double Feature Horror Show, and it is a cover of a Rocky Horror song changed to be all about horror movies. And if you appreciate Rocky Horror, you may like it.
Nice.
It's one of those weirder things that I did for this channel.
That was a nice little shill you did there. I love how you managed to make that
bit
all
of grifting.
connect. See, that was a good through line. That was a good plot setup and execution. This film could have learned a thing or two from you.
Yeah. Well, I think the smooth shilling is something in Gut From You, man. Let's see. Yeah, Richie's right. The dog knew too much. Exactly. Yes, he sensed evil. Here we go.
Yes, but then he became the very thing he hated.
Joe, I think there are some vibes about this, but it's not as coherent. We're going to get onto it a bit later.
Germans, I'll have you know. It's never unnecessary.
They're kind of a mix, but there are just, if you try.
Yeah, there's a Romanian in there.
If you try and look at it through, like, if you try and map the characters onto, key events in the mid-century.
Don't forget, the Queen is actually. Oh, maybe that's a spoiler, but but she's Greek, not German. So actually, they're not all German.
Well, there's other stuff you see around her that makes that questionable. But look, I
don't think you should be defending the Germans, though.
I tried applying that reading to the film, and I couldn't really make it make sense. So
No, it doesn't make sense. Look,
see.
just imagine it's the head teacher from Matilda. It makes more sense.
Let's go for the Matilda reading.
Miss
Cro-Minion.
Okay.
It was DYE fantasy. I'll put that in actually.
In this film, it's the stabby, I guess. You know.
There we go. That's the one, Cro-Minion. That is the song you're thinking of.
God, that video.
I don't want to know.
I might play that. I'll play that as a bonus for you on a future stream. The mashup of you and Harrion being exposed to that for the first time.
I'll say we did a live reaction to that, didn't we? What film was that?
I've got a feeling it was the Color Out of Space.
I think it might have been. Yes.
Oh, with the cage.
Yeah,
That's
it was. It was during the Lovecraft arc.
Yes.
The first one. I'll say we are doing more Lovecraft because I really enjoyed that.
Nice.
Yeah, so we get. I don't have a screen cap of it, but there is an interesting thing that.
Sorry, just 72. I show Die Fantasy to everyone I work with. No one will talk to me now. I don't blame them.
You are a bit of a weirdo.
Horror movie, video, brilliant.
Oh man, that video is something else.
Yeah. Oh,
Why would you do that? Why did you go back and watch it? No, stop it. No, don't do it.
He's killed in an interesting way. There's something about the way the evil witch present floats around the big German government buildings, especially the Eagle, the Adler. If you're wanting to do some readings about that, that would probably be the imagery that you start looking at. It's something I maybe want to consider because there's a lot more of that in the remake. I think that deserves some focused attention to try and understand it. But just after that, we're sort of moving towards a darker period in the film, basically. Sarah thinks she's worked out the big clue. She basically hands... Let me switch over the screen cap.
She tells her that she thinks it's witches, right?
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Or an Italian da da da. Oh, can I just mention that the death scene with the blind man? It's very clearly a hand puppet. Dario's like, okay, I put my hand on your throat. Squeeze very tightly. Keep your eyes open.
Yeah, sorry. Did either of you have anything more to say on that? I realised I kind of skated past that.
I wasn't expecting the dog.
But...
I was expecting somebody to come in and stab him and the dog. Maybe there'd be a bit of a struggle, but no, the dog went right for him, which I wasn't really expecting. I think, but that's like you say, it's the dog killing the owner, right? That's the sense of humor. Like, my dog would never do that. Oh, it did it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The witches have a dark sense of humor about it. It's almost melancholic, but I've got to say, I don't feel it was directed amazingly in terms of tension. So that's why
it's no American Werewolf.
No, it could have, and the effects are, they had a difficult thing to pull off, basically.
It's a bit Doctor Who.
Yeah, I would, maybe interesting symbolism, but it wasn't my favourite bit. Anyway, we moved
I like the tension of it from the beginning. Like I was like, oh, what's going on?
Well, yeah, you've got fun stuff like him being in the beer cellar. By the way, again, if you're talking this reading,
we've been in a beer cellar.
I've been in many a beer cellar. And now I'm just missing beer gardens.
Yeah.
See, you burn off all the calories from the beer just carrying the massive Steiner.
I remember when I lived in a pub back in the day and I had my own little beer garden that I could go into whenever I wanted.
Oh, bless.
Did you get a discount?
Yeah, 100%, mate.
Was it 100% discount?
It was 100% discount.
The 5-finger discount is 100%.
Literally on the house.
Yeah.
In your house.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So you know what I like about this scene? Like when Sarah, I mean, it's a little bit predictable, the kills. I'm not gonna lie. I did know that Sarah at some point was gonna die. It was obvious, but this is where the expressionism really comes to the fore.
Mm.
And with the camera angles and the lighting, like with the deep blues, the shadows, and the green especially reminds me of. Well, it's an inverse because green in like a silent film, and especially the German expressionism, was actually outdoor scenes.
Green,
and he's using it for it was for outdoor scenes, but he's using it as an indoor scene, and I think arguably it works better.
Yeah.
If this was in black and white, it would not look out of place in the 1920s. This particular sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's. Do you remember all the way back? And I know you were on that episode, Mitch. We did Alfred Hitchcock's 1929 film, The Lodger. Or
Yes,
possibly it was
yes.
1919. Was it 1919 or 1929?
No, way after that. It was late 20s. That one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just before he did. It was just before he did Blackmail.
Okay, good. Yeah, that did exactly what you said. Blue tint for like outside daytime, and then black and white inside.
I think it's only at nighttime that film,
Oh, it could be nighttime.
Yeah.
Sorry, nighttime that we get the blue. Forgive my terrible memory, folks. I'm just answering the question. Joe, the Adler building, it kind of looks like a standard Rathaus. You're in the big square. It's got, I don't want to say Alexanderplatz, but it's a giant Platz area. And the camera just kind of zooms around the buildings like it's in the air, but then focuses on the Adler before zooming down to sort of attack the blind pianist. So it's in that scene when the pianist is off.
Is that a reference to Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles? Because he's blind and he plays piano.
Possibly at the time. I saw it as a callback to Black Belly of the Tarantula, but I don't know.
He's a little bit Ray Charles with this suit and his glasses.
Yeah, but did he do the sort of like swaying thing?
A little bit. He does.
I think he might. I think he might have done actually. Yeah, not as eccentrically, but I think he does. Yeah.
Reserved German, like.
Yeah.
Well, he's Italian, but
Yeah.
Sorry, Mitch, you were making great points about her being trapped in. What do you think of the idea, like these intense?
Loved it.
Intense colors. I almost feel like is that just your big key that the witch's power is like extremely present when you get these big.
I got the feeling she was going to die. That's what I got the impression of. Like the lights. Also, I feel like maybe there's some kind. I always felt like the light came from outside, not like it was a studio thing. I felt like it came from the window. Like maybe there's something green out there, but something about the place makes it more intense. That's what I got the impression of. Kind of like how some filmmakers won't have background music unless it's from a radio or something. That's the impression I got from this.
Okay.
Or like it's like a fever dream. Like she is going a little bit loopy. She's going insane because she can't find her notes. Susie is out for the count. So there's a lot going on there mentally. Like maybe there's some symbolism with her mind and the fact that she's next, maybe. And the colours change throughout.
Well, she's in fairly normal lighting until, like, basically Susie becomes unconscious, and it's obviously the power of the witches are keeping her asleep. And then that's when the lights change, and suddenly it's intensified, and it's just survival mode. We get this beautiful, beautiful shot here. And you talked about her being trapped. I note here that she's actually framed inside the light bulb.
Yeah, she is, yeah.
Which is like showing, she is encased, she is trapped, and obviously it is a glass light bulb, but it has that feeling of, a weird sort of energy barrier. Because it just looks weird, like she's trapped in a kind of bubble, and it has that surreal energy to it. It's such a lovely shot. It must have been a pain in the butt to make, but Argento went out of his way to do it. And then we get, I think, what you could call it's another one of those set pieces where you just get so much unbelievably great imagery thrown at you. How do you guys feel about this little bit?
I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
I appreciated this. See, like I say, when things were happening, it sort of picked up, and my interest was piqued. Like I thought this was really good. Because when I understand what's going on, it's everything sort of comes together. It's just when, like I say, it was just in that sort of like that long middle bit, and I kind of appreciate the exposition dump that comes a bit. I think it's either before or after this. I can't even remember, but I kind of appreciate the exposition dump because it sort of like brings you up to speed with what's what's going on. Although I would have appreciated if they were a bit more upfront and open, and perhaps written it a little bit better to spare you having to just get this information and be like, right, okay, look, sorry, I should be taking notes. Oh shoot, where's my notes gone? Oh no, the witches.
You nearly swore then.
Got it. Family friendly show.
It is. This is the most family-friendly show about,
I
guy
haven't
dogs
sworn
tearing
once.
their throat out, or women being thrown into a pit of barbed wire.
Well, she jumps into it not knowing what it was.
Oh, that, yes.
Actually, Mitch, this is probably, you talked about expressionism.
Yes, that is
how Caligari is this.
Not that bit. The bit where she's building the where she's getting the boxes up to climb out the window. That's Caligari.
So
because it's blue and it's one just long shot.
It's also wonky geography or wonky architecture.
Actually, a lot of the early part of the film was entirely silent with music. There's not much dialogue.
Yeah. If that's making no sense to you folk, we're talking about an older German expressionist horror, Das Kabinett des Dr. Caligari's, immortalized in Rob Zombie's Living Dead Girl video, which copied it. And it's just striking for this weird landscape where people are walking through geography that is sort of impossibly designed. And it's sort of fake and obviously fake and weird.
It also stars not Kurt, I forgot his name. Weiss, was he called? He was in, I think, the German guy in Casablanca and one of the wizards in The Thief of Baghdad. I'm pretty sure. The remake, that is, in the 40s.
Oh, no, I'm sorry on that. I can't help that one. If you want to look that one up.
The boomers in the chat will back me up on that.
Yeah, we're trying to just get that idea of it's a dreamlike state when you're moving through, a house where the architecture is just going all wrong and weird, and it shouldn't work like this. And
maybe
that's what it
death
feels
like. Dreamlike.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like I feel like this. No, Living Dead Girl 72 is a Rob Zombie music video, but it's really based on how Das Kabinett des Dr. Caligari's looks. It's quite awesome, basically. If you don't want to watch a sort of, is it 1920s German film? Then
yes.
You can watch Rob Zombie's Living Dead Girl video. Okay. But that's what it felt like, this dreamlike logic. She's trying to get out the house and nothing works, so she has to go through rooms that are weird. She has to sort of pack up suitcases to make an unstable way of getting out of the window. Oh, the weird dream logic. She's doing that while the a TCG, when she has locked herself in the room and locked the door, and the killer's putting the knife through to bother the lock, were you screaming at the screen, just open it?
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you see that sequence, guys, it's like, how is a killer not the killer sort of is tapping the latch and not opening it when they obviously could, which is it's kind of frustrating, but then I guess you get the feeling that the witches are actually just messing with her.
Tapping the doorknob like Joe Pesci in bloody Home Alone.
Yeah. Oh gosh,
how hot is it?
I mean,
could you imagine?
It makes sense when you know the witches are just screwing with her.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah. So, but until I got that, like, I was really annoyed at it. We're saying it was like classic horror.
Well, she should have known it was
just
barbed
being
wire.
silly.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. Well, she just, when she finally gets through the window, and she then is at looking to jump down and make her escape, and she just lands in a pit of barbed wire. I'm afraid I don't have the visual, guys. I wasn't sure Susan would like it, but she's getting torn up, and it's so incredibly spiteful and mean to her.
I thought she could have made it, you know.
Maybe. I that reminded me of Mick Foley for any WWE.
Oh yeah.
The old hardcore matches, the old barbed wire matches.
Oh dear.
Brutal.
The only thing was the drop that she had was a lot smaller than his, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so very memorable. Feels like a great set piece, and it's the kind of thing that I absolutely love this film for. And as we kind of alluded to, this was great because it just kind of gave the plot a massive kick up the backside and gave you some direction. So you're like, oh, okay, good. Right, that's what we're doing, because I definitely felt we're in what we on this stream like to call stuff just happens mode. It's like,
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. This film was just the vast majority of it was just stuff happening. And then it's almost like defibrillators to the chest. You know, he's like, clear, boom, right, plot. Oh right, okay, right. Thanks for bringing me back into the room. But again, like this is what I was talking about when I thought of when I was thinking about it afterwards. It's very this film is very sort of like trance-like, almost hypnotic, and you know, you sort of like lose yourself in the visuals, and then you just get these jolts that say, no, there is a story here. Keep watching, you know, and then you sort of like go back into that sort of like trance-like state again. Boom, right?
Well, that's almost the appeal, isn't it? That you just lose yourself in the moment.
It's odd because I think if this film didn't have the visuals that it had, I would have said that this film was utter jank. But there's something really, really weird about it that I kind of, you know, would quite like to go back and do a rewatch. I would like to watch the 2018 remake to see how they tackled it differently, because like I said before, it's a very, very different film based on what I've heard. You know, I'd love to compare the two, because it's kind of controversial. Well, not controversial, but divisive. There are people who prefer the remake sincerely, and there are people that just sincerely can, you know, like this version better. But even the people who made the remake, or the actress, I think one of the actresses said it wasn't like a remake, it was more like a do-over.
Yeah.
Something
so
I'm
like
paraphrasing.
adding bits in, maybe brushing some stuff up.
I think the way that I would, again, because I've not seen it, so I can't say, but if I was to speculate, I would imagine it was more like an inverse of what the original film was. So like this film is very visual heavy, plot lax, because the story is told through the visuals in the 77 Suspiria. But in the 2018 version, it's very much the opposite. You get the plot within the first 10 minutes of the film. Like, it's explained to you, this is what's happening. And then, but with the visual side of it, it's all very dark in tone and very somber and very sort of almost like gothic. Even the musical score is different. So you've got Goblin in this one, which is like ridiculously loud. And I don't know if it's because I'm getting old, but even I was like, oh mate, this is a bit loud, you know. Turn it
No,
down.
I was complaining about the audio balancing. It was, and also anyone who's watched my videos know I have no right to complain about audio balancing.
Same here, you know. But
liberality, if you're watching this, thank you, mate. Your advice is very helpful.
But with Tom York's, apparently it's a lot, you know, it's a lot more, I wouldn't say mellow, but it strikes a different tone. You know, it sets a different atmosphere. What I will say about what Goblin did, and to their credit, even though, you know, it's a bit loud for my old ears, but I would say this is probably the first Giallo film of the series that we've watched so far where I felt like the score actually fit the movie. You know, where it was played, it fit the sort of like it fit the visuals that were being shown, whereas other ones not so much. So I was quite impressed with it in that regard.
Oh yeah, I can see why Well, you can see why on the basis of this that Argento and Goblin were asked to pitch in on Dawn of the Dead.
I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt. I'm looking at the IMDb page right now, right? And you've got the character Pat Hingle, who was played by Eva Axon, and the profile picture, the avatar they've used, is literally her hanging from that ceiling.
Really?
Yeah.
Brutal.
No,
Brutal.
I'm not joking. Yeah, it's just iconic.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't praised the music enough, but it really, it's one of those things that really,
it saves.
I can't imagine the film without it. It's kind of like The Exorcist and Halloween, and The Thing actually, and I'll throw in The Omen as well. I'm going on a rampage here. Just horror movies where the music is so absolutely unentangleable. You know, they really make the film so much more than it would have been otherwise. It's
absolutely
great stuff.
Yeah, I really felt that. I felt like this film, you know, you couldn't put anything else on top of it and have the same sort of effect. Like I said, my only complaint was it was a little bit loud, but then I could just turn the volume down on my my earphones. You know, that's partly my fault.
Constantly.
Yeah,
anyway, so we've given the plot a massive shot in the arm. I'm mindful of Super Nanny off in the distance, but you can get the scent on the wind, you know.
Sorry, Joe. Tom York's singing is horror in itself.
His singing nowadays, when in the 90s he was genuinely decent, but as the 2000s wore on, he just couldn't be bothered singing properly. That's my opinion.
72, really good call. The Shining, yeah, absolutely. Music makes it incredible. Very good shot. Any others? Are we missing any other horrors?
Red Right Hand.
I mean, that's a specific song rather than the soundtrack, but yeah, it's pretty. It is pretty effective, you know. Yeah, The Omen. I say this every time it comes up, but it's very noticeable that Jerry Goldsmith won his only Oscar for The Omen, but he'd been screwed over so many times that he didn't even bother going to the ceremony.
What about Halloween?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think we mentioned Halloween.
Okay.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, John Carpenter is always going to give you a great soundtrack, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we've given the plot a massive shot in the arm, so we suddenly remember what we want to be doing. We've got the mystery of the creepy witches running the Dance Academy, and if you're wondering, what witches? Well, luckily, Lidl's answer to Rutger Hauer turns up. That's really harsh, actually. Sorry, Udo Kier here. Oh no! Come on!
There's nothing wrong with him. Leave him alone.
He's fantastic, folks. If this isn't familiar to you, Udo Kier is typically brought in to be the big, scary, villainous European. You probably know him best from Blade, where Stephen Dorff assassinated him, and he has this incredible stop-motion, melty-face death. It's brilliant. But Udo Kier is one of those actors you'll have seen so many times, you know. I've talked for absolutely ages, guys.
I love the suit.
Would one of you like to give us a little recap of what goes on here?
Basically, Sarah disappeared. Well, Sarah dies, as we know. She gets a throat slit in barbed wire, and the witches treat it as if she's disappeared. She's just ran off in the middle of the night.
Oh,
and
sorry.
Those footsteps. Go on. Yeah.
Can I pause you there because I forgot to say, I meant to say earlier. I jumped in my seat when her throat got cut because that was the nastiest thing. That was so nasty.
I didn't jump, but I agree. It was gruesome.
Yeah,
what did they use for that?
I was trying to work that out because it looks like an amazing latex model, like incredibly well done. I'm trying to look now who did the effects, but I'm struggling on it. If you want to keep describing, I'll try and find out who did the effects for it.
So basically, the entire school thinks Sarah just disappeared in the morning and has gone AWOL, but obviously Susie thinks that no, something doesn't seem right. Nobody just disappears and leaves in the middle of the morning, and decides to ring. We don't actually know how she knows this guy, but it turns out that Udo is actually her psychiatrist, Sarah's psychiatrist. And he tells her that she had a nervous breakdown when she was 16 because her mother died, and had some. And when he last talked to her, she was mentioning that a certain friend, which obviously was not Susie, it was the one who was killed in the opening 10 minutes, was telling her about witches. Now he's obviously a skeptic, and doesn't think that any of this is real. It's all just humbo jumbo.
Shouldn't he be wearing a fedora?
No, he should be wearing this nice lime green suit. Because he's a young postmodern psychologist, I
see.
So he does, however, know a particular psychologist. He does believe in that nonsense, and it's another German guy, and he allows him to talk to her, and he has this exposition where he talks about all this stuff about witches. Although I will say that he adds another bit of exposition, Udo, and talks about the backstory behind the school. The school basically was founded by a Greek witch who was persecuted all around Europe and eventually settled in Germany, where she mysteriously died in a fire. And then the school, in typical German fashion, was allowed to continue and do its horrible witchy, dirty deeds. And then the older man continues and explains how witches can only have this thirst for wealth and power and can only do evil. And if you cut off the head of the body, the rest of them will wither away being chaos, which obviously has payoff at the end, as we shall see. And so Susie goes home.
you just get so much stuff here. I mean, Joe's putting it in there. It's an interesting one. Like, as I said, I've tried to overlay like the classic World War II factions against this, but it does seem,
considering Italy was on Germany's side, I don't really.
It is just interesting though the way they describe the witch Helena Markos. They say she's Greek.
She is Greek, yeah.
But it kind of seems that the descriptions match onto her as sort of, basically a different persecuted background,
Well,
and later
they're
on,
mentioning the occult revival in the 19th century. That's what they're referencing. The stuff that Stick Saxon Hammer likes to write about. That's what they're referring to.
I felt they were sort of wondering. I wondered if they were trying to cast her kind of in the role as Jewish, and I just
no, I don't think so. She's clearly not Jewish. She's more like Rosicrucian. What was the big like cults back in the occult followings in the 19th century? Like I can't remember the names. There was some big ones that were like it's like a mix of science and religion. It's nothing to do with Judaism. All this.
It would not be unknown for the time. We certainly got strong.
You're stretching far too much. They're clearly referencing.
I was just looking into it. As I said, I couldn't map it, but
I know what they're referring to. They're referring to a lot of the old occult revival stuff in the 19th and early 20th centuries.
I forgot
what the bloody movement was called. Theosophists. Thank you, Murgu. Yes. Yeah. That's what they're referencing. Yeah.
It is always fine to try little theories out and see if it maps onto the film, but as I said,
sometimes what they lay out in front of you is what it is.
sometimes it certainly it's not easy to make the thing fit, so possibly it is not there. But I did find the description
it's an allegory for World War II. No, I don't think the Italians should be making such allegories.
No, perhaps not. So yes, we have our exposition dump, as you said. Kind of sets us up, doesn't it? Really.
For the finale.
There's a little thing before we really get into the finale, though. I mean, absolutely gorgeous, but the bat did nothing wrong.
Oh, that poor bat.
What was that bat? Was it a witch? Was it like a familiar? What was it like?
It was unnecessary.
Animal cruelty from the Italians. The bat, they killed the bat. Squash it. Squish it.
Oh dear. They got a plumber to come in and jump on it.
Yeehaw! Here we go.
Yeah. I did laugh at this
That's
scene, I'm
bad.
afraid. I did laugh at it. And then I really didn't like her squishing it. I know.
She got a one up. Bloop, bloop, bloop.
I got the old Fly deleted scenes vibes.
Yeah. In what sense, man? Like it was just
Baseball bat to the monkey cat thing.
The monkey cat thing.
Another live response.
That was glorious. Anyway, at this point, we are basically full on the home straight. So we have this, which I think was massively unnecessary and just confusing. But Susie stops taking the meds. She's fully suspicious. She doesn't believe this thing of my roommate just waltzed off suddenly.
She didn't believe in the science.
Yeah.
Because we forgot when she had the aneurysm or whatever it was, the doctor says, "Oh, yeah, drink this. Hey, it's good for the blood, and give her this diet of like bland food,
which is obvious.
Which is obviously his instructions to the witches for what to drug her with. And they were trusting in the science, and she didn't. And look what happened. She got red pilled.
I think that's a lesson we can all draw from.
Now she watches Andrew Tate.
Hang on, I want to do this quickly. I was looking at this, Jesse, and I was mostly trying to look at that angle because I felt there was a little bit in there. Obviously, you go back into the history and witches and lesbianism is brought up all the time. Like that's constant. Even in 2015's The Vitch, it's in there. I particularly from the started thinking of it because of the kind of butch femme dynamic that you get in Tanner and Blank. I will just get that picture up again if you didn't see it. Where is it? Forgive me, guys.
I wish there was a lesbianic subtext in the film, but there wasn't. I thought there was going to be, but it baited me. I was wrong.
It was one of those things I was trying to see if it was in there, but there's certainly... It's kind of there as a bit of a clue that maybe these women aren't exactly standard. Like I feel it's a flavor added there to make you think there's a bit of a corrupting influence.
I think it's just a bait and switch. Like this, you think this is going to be standard Giallo, but you're wrong.
Yeah, could be, but it's in there, which is quite interesting. And we actually mentioned Black Belly of the Tarantula last week. There was kind of 2 areas of quite sympathetic gay characters in there just dropped in, and there's not much done with it, but it's just sort of interesting to see it was in there. But yeah, as I said, it's hard to do a solid reading of this film, but there's so many interesting elements in there that your brain just kind of wanders. I guess that's kind of what makes it a bit dreamlike. Is that you just move through lots of different moods.
I was expecting nude witches dancing in a circle, but no, I was disappointed.
The remake is your friend.
Oh
my!
Tell me more. Oh my!
Can I have your best George Takei? Oh my!
Oh my! I'm not deep enough. I think that crime guy can do that. No, that's how you do it.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Oh, Dyke.
Oh dear. It's okay, chat. We're allowed one joke like that. I'll cash it. You can have my pass if you want. Anyway. All right.
By snoo.
So we finally get this, as we said, a massive shot of adrenaline to the plot. We are going to resolve things super quickly because that's how Dario Argento movies
was a bit
go.
rushed.
You have long dreamlike sections where the pace drops, and then at the end, it's someone snorts a line of something interesting straight out of the BBC staff party room, and then we finish off the movie in about 5 minutes. It's crazy.
I'd like to think they were so too busy having fun. They thought, "Oh no, how do we end the film?"
Giuseppe, we only have one reel left, etc.
I've got to go to America and help the American director Romero with his new zombie film. I need help. We need to finish this film.
Oh no!
Just 10 minutes.
What's going on?
Hate crimes. Hate crimes against the Italians.
I'm just doing.
I'm
Hey,
sorry.
I know
Italy.
Italians. It's okay.
Knock knock.
Yeah.
Mamma
Okay.
mia.
Here we go. We find the notes and we're off again. We are tracing the footsteps that have been teased. We uncover the mystery of the words that Susie thought she'd glimpsed. Frankly, I found it tenuous, but whatever. It was powerful. And we find out there's a secret door. Will I forgive shoddy clues because there's a secret door? Yeah, I will. I would give anything to live in a house with a secret room. It would be amazing. Anyway, she goes through the door. Expressionism, just a little bit.
Oh yes, very much so.
Oh, messed up geography. Sorry, messed up architecture. We love it. She goes through.
And the painting in the office is very Caligari, you know.
She wanders through the hallways. There's Latin, there's German, there's Hebrew, there's other languages we cannot really read.
Ancient Greek.
Yeah, I couldn't read all that, but you definitely get the sense of you're surrounded by information you can't make sense of. She moves through and she sees the coven at work, and it's proven, it was witches. This is done massively differently in the remake. I kind of preferred it. I think it was a little more interesting. Make your own judgments. I will not spoil it. But yes, we see what's going on, see everyone involved. And so Susie freaks out. She's way out of her depth. She backs out. I mean, she is properly out of her depth here. She doesn't have any superpowers. She's not a boss babe. She is basically just lost, right?
So she doesn't even have the power of plot armor because of the lack of.
No plot armor whatsoever. It kind of just occurred to me. It's like, yeah, she's screwed here. She's completely screwed. Your massive Romanian starts coming after her with was it a knife that he took? What did he arm himself with?
A knife and a lighter, but he doesn't run after her. He knows where she is. He just calmly stalks her.
Yeah. She so she backs away and then accidentally stumbles across Madame Marcos, or Helena Blavatsky, as she would actually be, Mother Suspiria, as we will find out in the context of the entire Argento Three Mothers trilogy.
Oh, so it is a reference to theosophy.
Indeed, it is. It is. I mean, it's a little post hoc that he solidifies the idea and actually says we're doing the Three Mothers thing, but
he set it up in the film, so it's okay, I would say.
He developed the idea that he'd thrown in there. You know, I like it. We are still getting absolutely gorgeous lighting. I've tried not to just talk about how gorgeous everything is, but it's been tough, guys. I've just wanted to.
It's beautiful.
I just wanted to praise how gorgeous it is. Oh, she's so. I've got a great shot of her next. She stumbles on Helena Marcos, who basically reveals the plan. And does someone else want to talk through this scene? I've been going on for ages.
Go ahead, the crime guy.
No, you do it, Mitch.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because I was pretty lost at this point.
So basically, this is referencing what the old German psychologist said: if you cut off the head, the rest will follow. And it also harkens back to when they're sleeping in the training room, and then the person snoring. Now you know why she's snoring, because she's a corpse. She's the living dead. And,
this is the bit where. Is this the? I'm right in thinking this is the bit where she's like, "You tried to kill me.
Yes.
You tried to kill mate." They were. She was making it up as she was going along, wasn't she? There was no script for that bit.
It's a bit Exorcist.
It was just a bit repetitive as well. Like
it does go on a little bit long, but it's kind of interesting that you still get the idea that she doesn't get her hands dirty. She's the power behind the curtain, if you will. And that's something I really liked. The idea, she's an unseen power. The way she has been this whole time, she's been under the building, influencing things. And now, even now, she is a spectre, she is a shadow. And when you pull back the curtain, she's not even there.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a brilliant play, because your protagonist is now, I've said out of the depth, but thinks she's got the hang of it. She's pulled back the curtain, she's armed, and she can't see anything. So at that point, what the heck do you do? Marcos is taunting her. Her friend's reanimated corpse with pins in the eyes, horrible cuts all over, and a massive freaking knife is shambling towards her. It's just like absolutely over the top horrific. What the heck are you going to do? You know, you just are absolutely outnumbered. You're screwed.
Oh.
You make this face. Maybe my favorite shot in the film. I don't know.
Oh, she's so cute.
She was in more standard lighting, and then when her friend's corpse comes to her, all the lighting changes and it goes so heightened.
Yeah,
just incredible stuff. But then, sort of, the solution is almost like delightfully simple.
Yeah, but it's also given. It's pretty much given to her.
It is just given to her.
Be honest.
Do you remember Hellraiser?
Yes.
Yeah. The end of Hellraiser, Kirsty is in a similar... Our protagonist, Kirsty, is in a similar situation. Absolutely screwed. Demonic forces coming at her. She's got no idea what to do. Happily, suddenly the thing she needs, the lament configuration, gets a fun little drawn-on 80s animation over it. And she goes, oh, yeah, I'll use the lament configuration. Brilliant. Kind of a similar thing happens here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think what's meant to be happening is lightning or something.
Yeah, and it's like the light sort of like creating an outline of the. I don't know how that would work, but because presumably, like, the light's passing through her, or at the very least refracting around to create the invisible effect. Like, do you know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not talking for real, but so I don't understand how lightning could magically just sort of create the outline. It would have been better if something got chucked on her. Like, bit of blood.
Yeah.
Oh no, she's there.
Yeah, could
slash the dead friend and have a bit of blood, like, you know, like brain dead when all the blood's like splashing out. Have a bit of an over exaggerated blood effect, and it's like, oh no. Obviously, I suppose the limitations of the special effects would have been quite apparent at that time, but I would have appreciated something to like that effect. So, oh, you are there, stabby.
Yeah, something that's a little more clear why you're able to see the outline. But yes, effectively, Jesse's got it. Yeah.
No, there's no plot. Stop. No. It's unexplained.
It's a bit of a Deus. It's some little Deus Ex Machina effect. Let's not kid ourselves. Yeah. But the solution's quite simple, actually. You realise that no, she's physically there. She just has the ability to make herself invisible. And so the solution is simply just stab where you think she is. And that does a job.
She nicked Harry Potter's invisibility cloak.
Yeah. There are messy elements in this film, and that might be one of them, but I kind of delight in how simple the solution is. The stabbing works, and exactly as Mitch told you it would. Cut the head off the snake and it all falls down, which does allow the plot to wrap up just borderline instantly.
Yeah. It was like leaves the house, people start setting on fire, building sets on fire, film ends.
The Greek loses her plates.
Yeah. Yeah. Traditions.
You know, she smiles at the end when she escapes.
Is she?
Yeah, a little bit. It's probably nothing, but she smiles.
She did have an odd expression, I remember.
She's probably thinking, "Thank Christ, I've finished."
Yeah.
I
Right.
know.
If you're wondering how she manages to fight her way out against the whole coven, she doesn't have to, because they are all on the ground, writhing, screaming, and bleeding.
Just like the psychologist said they would.
Yeah. And then the Tanz Academy bursts into flames and she gets out of there. Mark Commode really liked this film, but he does highlight that Argento almost just sort of has had enough and just decides to round off at that point. And will from what I've seen, he does tend to just finish the film incredibly quickly. Like, he just has the credits going over the building burning down. We're not even going to
While you can hear them screaming as well.
Yeah. It's an odd thing I find in 70s movies, is they're very happy to sort of get the credits playing whilst important stuff is still happening. And you're sort of like, oh, no, I'm still kind of vibing with this film. And now you're showing me credits. What's going on, man?
Mind out of the way. I'm trying to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if they'd done the credits at the point of the exposition dump?
Oh dear. There's already enough information in that scene. My goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, that takes us to the end of Suspiria. It's sort of, once it reaches its end, it's kind of over with, and it's done. And you don't need to know what happened to the main character after that. It's all good, man.
Yeah. Just assume the best.
It's my second watch of this, or possibly third. But my goodness, I felt seeing it in HD really made a difference. Like,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is the first time for me, and
visually so stunning. I'm possibly forgiving it a lot of flaws because of the atmosphere and because of the visuals and the music. To stay on the right side of Super Nanny,
yes,
we should be rounding things off. I'd like to say, Mitch, how did Suspiria live up to your expectations?
I think if I watch it another time, it will probably rise in my opinion. I think it does. I think it is a film that needs several watches, because I think there must be clues in the film that you'll see later on, I imagine. Like a lot of films, like I think with Parasite, there was also like clues that you didn't notice until you watch it a second, third time, like I did. Overall, I think I can see why people like it, and I liked it. It's not a bad film, but it's not perfect. It's not a masterpiece. So at the moment, I'll give it a high 5 burgers out of 10. But I think it will go up if I watch it more, I think. So it's probably going to go to a 7 if I watch it again. I just don't know what I didn't, again, like Peeping Tom, I don't really know what to think of it. So if I give it right in the middle score line where it can go up or down in my estimation, I think that's fair.
Okay. I think it's fair to say that sometimes a film just hits you purely on atmosphere. Like, it is just sort of, you can't really do the analysis of the nuts and bolts of it or the meaning of it.
Is it out of 12? 6 then. 6. Because it's out of 12, isn't it?
So 6, yeah. So, okay.
So 6.
Yeah, I think 6. No complaints there. You know, your score is your score. It's all good. And I think I can very much respect that it's a film you want to see twice.
Oh yeah, I'd definitely watch it again.
I'd say every Argento film I've watched is better on the second go, because you can see where he lays up clues and sets things up for you, and there can be some kind of quite nifty symbolism in there to enhance it all. So they've always been better on the subsequent viewings, a lot like David Lynch films. I know that'll trigger a fair few people. I still love my Lynch films, and
elaborate.
Okay, well, I'll go with
say no.
Lynch wouldn't elaborate, but okay. The first time I watched Mulholland Drive, I had no idea what was going on. I was sort of, oh, am I going to manage
That's
this?
a really good comparison, actually.
Doesn't Harrion hate that film?
Harrion
He
hates
gave it 2 burgers.
Really?
And those 2 burgers were for boobs only. If there'd been no boobs, he wouldn't have even given it a burger.
Wow.
Shocking. I know.
I don't think you should have given him that film as his first Lynch. You know,
I thought it's not an easy way into Lynch, but I thought it'd be interesting.
Blue Velvet.
I don't think I scored Mulholland Drive that high.
No, it's fine. I mean, it is hard to tell someone that this film, you have to interpret it. There's a plot there, but you have to interpret it. And I can understand if someone doesn't want to do that, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of which,
you can say, oh, that's lazy, but if someone could equally hand me a film and say, yeah, it's all interpretive dance, trust me, the plot's brilliant, bro. You know, I'd be like, but I don't want to interpret the dance.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Which is why, if we look at, if I just quickly give my score, when as soon as you said Mulholland Drive, it just clicked. I had the same problem with this film that I had with that one, in that the film, like I completely agree. Visually, it's lovely. It's very, very nice. You know, the effects and the killings and stuff like that, they do it really well. Even the music, as I said earlier, hits the right notes, unlike the other Giallo films that we watched. But what this film for me sort of failed on was telling the actual story itself, in that again, it's very difficult to put my finger on it, but whatever I said when I talked about Mulholland Drive applies here. You know, when I go to a film, I don't want to think too much, man. I'm not that kind of guy. You know, you're telling me the story, have the characters, you know, have it concise and clear, and you know, you've got to make point A connect to point B to point C to get to that end point. And this film sort of strays and wanders off the track quite regularly. And like I say, there was almost like the defibrillator moments where boom, it brings you back into the story. Like, oh no, this is what's happening right now. The exposition dump, I think they had to put that in there purely on the basis that I think they probably realized that, yeah, we don't even know where we're going with this story at the moment. Which is a shame, because like people talk about this film so fondly, and I think rewatches do help, but you have to get the buy-in in the first try. So, and again, that could go either way. Mitch giving it a 6 out of 12, I'd probably say is a fair score. I think I gave last week's one a 5, and I don't know whether this hit the same as because I think I gave Mulholland Drive possibly even a 4.
I think it was around there. Yeah,
and I think it would be unfair for me to give this film anything higher than that. But there is some ketchup to throw in there. I might even put some barbed wire, you know, sort of like around the plate, and
it was also an hour shorter.
Yeah. And I'll slap some barbed wire underneath the lettuce, underneath the salad as well. But in terms of rewatchability, I could probably do it again. And like Mitch said, it may change my perspective. Exactly what I said about Mulholland Drive. It could potentially change my perspective. It may not. But I'll tell you what I do want to watch, though. It's the remake. That's the one I'm interested in.
Ooh.
That's what I'm interested in. And of course, there's no remake to Mulholland Drive. So if I was to watch one next, it would be the remake first, and then I'd have a point of comparison. But yeah, 4.
Okay,
A
okay.
positive 4. A positive 4. Like,
Seeing as you mentioned the remake, I do feel I should say that actually there was a remake planned by one David Gordon Green, later to lead the Halloween reboot trilogy from 2018 onwards.
okay.
The one with the
Yeah.
crap ending.
Apparently so. I have not risked it myself. I've seen very, very mixed reports of it.
I allowed my
yeah,
mate to spoil it because I have no intention of watching it.
Oh,
okay.
don't spoil it because I still
Yeah.
I still haven't seen the second of the 3.
No
Uh,
spoiling it then. We will not spoil that film on
It's a
here.
bit predictable. Come on, I mean, we all know who dies at the end.
Anyway, so in 2008, he was making a remake. It was going to have Natalie Portman and Isabel Furman, who was fairly she had some success from Orphan back in 2009, so it was going to go straight from Orphan to that. But then it did not happen. It got tied up in the early stage of development and never went any further. Alas.
Mamma mia.
And so it waited another, just shy of 10 years until we got the 2018 Suspiria. So I feel I should mention that in terms of the interesting abandoned remake. I'll just take a pause here. Someone's popped in the chat. Gabriel Williams, good to see you, man.
Hey,
I said drop by if you're ever able to make a stream, and you are here, and it's good to see you, man. Gabriel has been blitzing the content like an absolute champ.
Nice.
So, and leaving comments, which is much appreciated. Sorry to be all mercenary about it, but if people don't interact with the videos, Susan doesn't show it to people. So Gabriel has a spicy old comment there, my friend. You might like my next video, but I can't read that out. Oh, can you imagine if they did that though? Can you imagine if they went for that? Goodness me. All right. Well, I should round it. So we have a 6 from Mitch. We have a decent one of 4. Yeah, decent catch up though with those. So I will give my score and closing thoughts. I am a lot more generous to Suspiria than probably I should be if I were strict, but I am very comfortable with a film that's very experiential. And when I'm just being absolutely spoilt with visuals and the soundtrack experience, I can let weirdness in the plot just go and just indulge in the film. And that's what I did. That lets it off the hook for a lot of issues. It is kind of difficult when your time is being wasted on a lot of silliness between dancers who have nothing to do with the plot. So that wore thin a little bit. Well, yeah, they were very cute, a lot of them.
Blimey.
I will say this though: the men who play the ballerinas don't look like male ballerinas. They're not hench enough.
Should be more beefy.
Yeah, they should. The male ballerinas are beefy.
Yeah, they're absolutely ripped lads. Anyway, so I forgive it a lot. It's a great experience. I feel it has a lot of hidden depths that, in a very sort of David Lynch, Eyes Wide Shut sort of way, is suggesting a lot more than stating, which just puts loads of ideas going through your head. I think it probably has a lot of mysteries to unravel, and it's going to take a few more viewings and a lot more close attention to do that. And I think it might be worth it. I'm seeing a 12 out of 12 from the NREB. I can absolutely see why people would give it that, because it's such a powerful experience. It feels like a very uncompromised vision, and you kind of have to respect that, to be honest. It's going, because it's so unfiltered and undiluted, it is going to be perfect for someone. It is not a milquetoast sort of middle of the road, play by numbers, safe horror. It is a very weird, specific vision. Very, very much like Lynch, very much like Eyes Wide Shut. It is going out there. and I've got to respect that. So for me, and also for the impact that it has on horror, I think is worth a whole extra burger. For me, it's a very strong 9. A very strong 9 burgers. I mean, I'm deducting quite heavily for the slacker moments that we picked up on. But yeah.
I mean, there's very oh god, I've lost my train of thought. Yeah, I can totally understand why some people would rate this a lot higher, or even like yourself, the 9, the 12 from Enrieb, 9 from Crow Minion. There's no doubt that this was a very, very influential for future horror films. So I can respect that.
Actually, I might duck it to 8. Sorry.
But just purely on the film and my experience, because I don't really want the sort of like nostalgia sort of well, not necessarily the nostalgia, but you know, the I don't want the influence that it's had since to sort of bear weight on what the score would be. If it was 1977 and I was watching this for the first time, that's my sort of takeaway from it. Because who knows when I'd get to see it again. You know?
Fair enough. Yeah, I think I might have de-hyped myself, and I was just, as I was giving the score, I was kind of thinking, there's so much I like, but then I'm also like, some of the effects. Yeah, I think 8 is very respectable, bearing in mind. I was trying to think of other stuff I've rated 9. I thought maybe I actually do have to deduct it, because I'd probably rank Profondo Rosso above this. And so I deducted a burger basically because of that. Oh, that's tough grading on a curve, people.
Yeah.
Anyway, to make sure we stay on Super Nanny's good side, we're going to round off there. Quite a mixed set of scores there, 4, 6, and 8. But some very passionate fans in the audience, which I think is fantastic. I'm glad you like it, the Enrieb. You're going to love it when we return to Argento, I think. I'm not sure when that will be. Possibly February, we might get back to him. There is a large number of arcs that we want to cover, but that is to be decided in the future. So I will, at this point, let you know the next arc for November is going to be Whammons Month.
Uh-oh.
I'm getting a whole... Oh, hang on. Really? Waifu is very disputing of this. Oh, my goodness.
What's going on?
Interesting.
Nothing to this. Interesting. We've got a domestic.
give more details, Waifu. Give more details. So I'll say next week we've done an arc of 3. We are returning to Giallo at another point. We are doing a dedicated Argento arc at another point. But for the show immediately prior to Halloween, we are doing Cabin in the Woods. Because of course we are. I've said it before, I'll just repeat it here quickly. I literally had a checklist of movies that I was working Harrion and TCG through before they're ready for Cabin in the Woods. I know that sounds ridiculously pretentious, but that is how I am. So
you just get used to it. Chat. You just get used to it.
I'll take the beating for this. Absolutely, Whammons Month, best month. Yes, we got a panel of
women directors, or
it's films where I felt we really wanted a Whammons perspective. So I had a couple. Well, it's a couple of films that I thought I really want the Whammons perspective, and then I thrown a random one in, just for fun, which will be interesting. So I'm finalising the choice because I want to whittle it down a bit. The temptation to assign teeth to them was strong.
Oof.
But I don't think I'd get away with it.
No.
All right. So yes, I will announce a full Whammons Month next week, and I'll put it all up as there was a very good suggestion from 72 to just do the full arc so everyone can see what's going to happen and have a good foreknowledge. So I will return to doing that. It's a very good idea. No, Richard, Whammon only. It's actually full Whammon guests. TCG's actually got the month off.
I've got the month off, even though Horrorshow didn't ask me whether I'm a woman or not. You know,
I didn't. Who even knows?
She just assumed my gender. I mean, come on.
You are in my eyes.
Anyway, sorry. So, Cabin in the Woods next week, featuring the return of your boy, the King of Rocks, Harry Ingledew. He'll be back.
Driller.
So I spent 2 years working that dirty little driller up so that he was ready to watch that film. All right, folks. I'm starting to talk nonsense, so I will leave you there.
Nonsense.
Shills.
That is so much. Yeah. So you want to check out your boy Mitch for original political thinking. He is always doing something slightly off from what everyone else is doing. You know, it's always interesting. It's always interesting checking where you are and stuff. Channel links.
You might like the next video.
Ooh, hello.
I can say that it is about freedom and nothing more.
Okay.
I just haven't had time to do it yet.
Is it a Braveheart review?
I mean, I could do that, but I don't want to subject myself to Mel Gibson going full, anti-English.
Oh dear. All right. Yes. So, subscribe to my fantastic guests. I will also say tomorrow night, if you want to catch more of me and TCG, get on TCG's channel. We are doing our regular Friday night quiz. It is
Can I go
fantastic.
on the quiz at some point?
Yes.
When are you going next, John?
Yeah, I've got a full panel this
tomorrow.
week. Well, I've got a full panel this week, but I'll tell you what, because I won't be doing one next week because I'm unavailable. But I can, I'll squeeze you in for the week after, dude. How does that sound?
If I can make it, I will double check with you.
Yeah, because every time I ask you, you're always like, "Nah, mate, working in it."
I was working though.
Lies.
I was. I work 40 hours.
Just let me know when you're free, mate, and let me know when you're free, and I'll
will.
fit you in, dude.
It's annoying that when I'm free, I can't come on.
I know, but no, just let me know, mate. You're more than welcome to. But talking about the
cheers,
panel,
babes.
as sweetheart. But as Horrorshow said, obviously she's going to be there tomorrow, as will Mergoot. Hello, Mergoot in the chat. I see you. And of course, we'll also be having Denzel back, but we also have a very special guest. So you may, if you're here from Shrouded's channel, then you'll be pleased to know that he will also be appearing as a special guest tomorrow night over on my channel. So he'll be taking part in the quiz as well. I'm going to get him to team up with Horrorshow, so you've got like a real sort of true crime horror team going on there.
Nice.
And they'll be going up against. Welcome to the channel. They'll be going up against Mergu and Denzel, and of course the chat. You are involved as well. Do also stop by because the quiz. I've actually made some small tweaks to the rules as well, just to spice things up. So we will go through the rules before beginning the game. So 9 p.m. UK time tomorrow, and then at 11 p.m. I'll be streaming some Sherlock Holmes, The Devil's Daughter, over on my second channel. So links will all be in the description. My dear Watson. So check it out. Check it out, guys. Come over. And I've also got a whole bunch of true crime stuff as well. So if you like Shrouded for the true crime stuff, then you should love what I do.
Heck yes.
If you
Mitch,
like
any
people,
shills?
subscribe.
Any shills you'd like to do, mate?
New video coming out this week. Like I said before, it's about freedom, but I'm not going to say in what way because it's quite interesting. Something I came up with recently. I don't know if I'm the first person, but nonetheless, I think it's an interesting idea that people need to consider about the world. And also my last video, and actually quite a few of them have recently been blowing up randomly for no reason, and I have no idea why. The last one's got to nearly 2,000 views for some reason.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, is anyone sharing it? I can't see any evidence.
Have you checked the analytics?
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, can you tell if somebody's shared it from the analytics? I don't know.
Normally,
it
might give you a bit of a website.
We can.
All right, I'll have a look at that.
We can
I
help you dig
found
into it.
I found out. Well, I mean, to be fair, it was more of a Google search, but my Billy Joe Jenkins video from last year started getting views quite recently. Part of that was because there were some updates to the case and there was a documentary, but also my video was actually hyperlinked onto an article on what was it, Entertainment Daily or whatever it was.
Oh wow!
Yeah. That was pretty cool. Oh,
that's pretty cool.
Super chat.
I'll just get in there quickly. Ilana
Oh, watch the video I'm in. I guest starred in one of your videos. Watch that one, guys.
Yeah. All right. I'll definitely do that, Shill. Right. I'm going to double shill, but first I want to thank Ilana avec le doudou there. I hope I pronounced that okay, friend. Le doudou. It's my terrible French accent. The original Suspiria. End of the stream. I'm struggling, guys. The original of Suspiria from 1977 is one of the horror movies that fascinates me the most. I like the remake from 2018, but I prefer the original from 77. Yeah. I probably lean over into liking the 18 a little bit more, but I've only watched it the once, but I can totally respect that. And it's kind of like the Invasion of the Body Snatchers ones, where they've got the same premise, kind of, but they're doing very different takes on it. And
speaking of Invasions of the Body Snatchers,
they're both quality. Anyway, thanks so much for the super chat. Much appreciated. €5 super chat, and it's very welcome. So you did very well to get in there just at the end of the stream. So excellently timed, and yeah, thank you again. So closing off for me, I am going to drop a video tomorrow that is a sneaky little bonus filling in an area of BBFC history. Do not click away now, guys. Trust me. It's one of those fascinating little areas that I've hinted at, but I haven't explored in depth. So it's kind of short. It's just a 15-minute video to fill that area in. And it's about the BBFC's very interesting decisions regarding a film with a title that Susan really doesn't want me to say. I think you'll enjoy it. I released it early to Patreon, patrons, members, supporters, people who support me on Subscribestar and YouTube earlier. I think it got a really good reception, so people liked it. So I am releasing it tomorrow. I'm also deep in the edit on my video on Get Out. And if you are looking for more, out. I can only point you towards a video I'm so happy about, which Mitch guest starred in, and that is my Fear the City, which is about Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978. I'm so happy about it. And I hope give it a watch. Give it a watch. It's probably my favorite thing I've done in a long time, and I hope you like it. But I am starting to talk nonsense, so I am going to sign off. Catch me on TCG's channel tomorrow. Catch my video tomorrow when it comes out. It is going to be called, I can't even see the title, but it's Slippery Slopey Censorship. Is what you should look out for. Okay. Massive thank you to Mitch and TCG. Fantastic chatting with you both as always.
Pleasure as always. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. And chat, you've been fantastic tonight. I think we'll have some silly competitions in the chat again, I think. I like it when we do some of those, so I'm going to think of them. I'm also going to put out a poll out about whether you want a Halloween party. Thought we might do like a fun hour on Halloween itself on a Monday, just brighten up the
Horror Channel special, you know.
Yeah,
might be tricky for me, partly because of my unavailability for the week prior. It sort of overlaps.
Well, I'll put the poll out and I'll see what people can do. But I've gone over the 2.5 hour limit. I'm incurring the wrath of Super Nanny. She's probably sharpening a cleaver as we speak.
She's shining the knife on you.
She's getting ready to chuck me into a pit of barbed wire and then make me drink maggots. So I'm going to grab you from the window.
Right. Sorry, Horrorshow. I think, chat. I think what she's trying to say is, that's all she's got for today. Go in now.
Nailed it. All right. Massive thanks to you all, guys. And I'll see you another time. Thanks, y'all.
Arrivederci.
#Showgang.